What are you doing, come on? On this hot Atlanta June evening, the way the celebrity, family, and that notoriously tumultuous past are all present. What happens though when that strain eventually, it gets to be too much? Mendeecees' child is idly browsing through his phone when the slightest argument abruptly escalates into a brawl. The man is attempting to take his son's phone, which swiftly escalates into a furious physical altercation. There is then a great deal of discussion online, with some people phoning Mendeecees. Hey, we understand that the pressure is real. Was this just a moment of weakness? Or is there more to the story? You won't believe what's going to happen next, so get ready to immerse yourself, a monster and others said. Get caught up in the drama. The drama that took place behind Mendeecees' closed doors was more intense than the hot June night in Atlanta. But let's be. Since his life has been full of highs and lows, from his turbulent upbringing to his fame on reality TV, Mendeecees isn't exactly it. If anything, he is accustomed to controversy. However, this may be the most shocking thing he has ever done. It all began when a normal father-son moment turned into an unexpected public scandal. Take a look at the instance where Means is suffocating not only from the heat of the day, but also with the weight of his past and present, which are very palpable, while balancing his emotional baggage and pressure from his family. Mendeecees tried to take his son Omar's phone away in what appeared to be an attempt to relieve the pressure of being one of the most talked about men in the reality television industry and his son. Frustrated moment, but everything quickly took a turn for the worse. What began as a simple phone dispute quickly escalated into a physical altercation. Just like any other teenage, Mendeecees was presumably too distracted by his phone to see that his connection with his father was deteriorating. This type of circumstance can occur in any household when the father attempts to enforce some rules, but what happens is more than just a fatherly correction. The story gets complicated at this point because of what you're about to see or have seen will already make you reevaluate all of your assumptions about fathers and their relationships with their sons. Following the violent altercation, fans parted ways, and social media was in ruins. In the video, Mendeecees can be seen grabbing at his son's phone in a fit of rage, raising questions about whether it was just a man losing control or if something more serious was going on. Concerning as supporters may question whether this is an indication of weakness or a father's anger, you must realize that the cameras did not capture a haphazard altercation between a father and Harris was at his finest, and instead they captured an unfiltered, pure, and all too real emotional breakdown. The physical push wasn't planned, or although it was brief, the violence was enough to spark a contentious online discussion. It's no secret that Mendeecees has had a challenging history, but to the crucial concerns are how much his emotional baggage is influencing his connections with his family and children, and how much his difficult history is influencing his decisions today. Mendeecees' life has been enmeshed in controversy since the beginning, but why did this happen? Was this the last man in a much larger, ongoing emotional battle, or was it? Simply put, it is a mistake for fans to only see the television character because they fail to remember the person behind the fame because of a lot of legal issues, personal struggles, and intense public scrutiny. Behind the cameras, however, is a different tale of a man who was constantly torn between his previous transgressions and his desire to be a better father. Is it too late, or is it even possible to mend the damage caused by his previous actions? As you can expect, the public's reaction to the video leak was not uniform. Some supporters backed Mendeecees, saying he was, while supporters praised Mendeecees on social media. Others, including their teenagers, swiftly denounced his actions as inappropriate and excessive, citing merely a dad trying to discipline his son. Critics perceived it as obvious abuse or worse, parental overreach. The twist is that instead of being just a family conflict, this could be a sign of a far more serious issue that Mendeecees has been battling his own mental health issues for years. And we shouldn't ignore Yandandi Mendeecees' wife, who was involved in this turmoil as well. In the end, the incident symbolizes more than just a family conflict. It is a microcosm of everything Mendeecees has faced over the years, including constant public scrutiny, emotional strain, and fame pressure. scrutiny, which all fell apart in one instant. As the story progresses, it remains unclear whether this was a singular occurrence or if it was just the start. FameZone quickly intervened, an attempt to calm things down when Mendeecees lost his temper. Despite the fact that the video of Mendeecees' nasty fight with his child went viral online, it serves as a reminder of the significant impact that, given the impact that celebrities may have on people's personal life, will Mendeecees be able to move over this scandal as he has so many times before, or will his reputation suffer irreversibly? About a man who was always haunted by his history and trying to get away from his problems, but finding it nearly impossible. It's not just a family dispute. The public didn't just watch it happen. They became involved, and in the days after the disclosure, the pressure on men in Washington, D.C. increased because of years of stress, emotional baggage, and unresolved. Fans were quick to defend him, stating that the problems that had been brewing beneath the surface weren't just a terrible parenting moment, even though they weren't subtle at all. Some were eager to spread hate, claiming that it was an example of a father losing control of the details of what had been happening behind the scenes, while others would crumble under the weight of fame. Unknown individuals close to Mendy leaked scenes from his private life, and there were rumors that no one wanted to hear. As we investigated the scandal behind the cameras, it was the entire planet this time. Oh no, in addition to his actions at the time, the media, social media, and even the law were questioning his entire philosophy of parenthood, family, and celebrity. The information we learned about enforcement was excellent, I must say. According to these sources, Mendeecees had endured months of severe emotional suffering to wealth and fame, but there are disadvantages as well, like living in a culture where privacy is unheard of and millions of strangers are constantly observing your every move. Imagine your life in the spotlight all the time, with every argument, decision, and tear captured on camera and broadcast to the world. How long would you last? According to reports, Mendeecees was battling his personal inner demons in the background to maintain his reputation while coping with the fallout from his prior legal issues. The public has been kept in the dark about. Despite being a reality TV star, Mendeecees' life isn't as perfect as it appears on screen due to the Harris family's financial difficulties, according to leaked sources. As long-lasting as it initially seemed, there were rumors that financial issues were stressing out supporters more than they had expected. However, more sources also claimed that there were internal family conflicts, with Mans allegedly feeling abandoned by those closest to him because of his past behavior, long-standing emotional baggage, incarceration, and let's talk about the true cause. The unresolved feelings of guilt and humiliation had been simmering for some time, and when the video came to light, it was like a pressure cooker exploding up. Mendeecees and Omar's phone altercation may have been the initial spark of this whole affair, but what if it was only the beginning? What if a man who was simply pushed too far was the real reason why as the days went by, the reaction became more divided? On the one hand, Mendeecees' supporters stood up for him, claiming that this was a one-time event and a transient mistake in judgment that did not characterize Mendeecees as a father or a person, but other individuals expressed disgust at what they perceived in the leaked video, claiming that he was merely a father attempting to exert control over his son because, after all, children are constantly on their phones these days, so who hasn't been frustrated when their children interpret it as an example of emotional abuse by a man who is unable to control his rage? These critics weren't having any of it and quickly began demanding justice, saying that rather than being a bully, he should set an example. The video gained a lot of attention on social media and in mainstream media, and the criticism was harsh and prompt, but the legal profession was quietly observing while critics and fans scrutinized the movie pixel by frame. Time, and as more comments were left, the more this occurrence appeared to be a legitimate legal matter. The true question now is what the repercussions will be and whether Mendeecees is at risk of legal problems. Isn't that the most crucial question? Some legal experts started to remark that if Omar so wanted, this is a complex case, so perhaps the scandal will end if Omar chooses not to press charges. But even if Mendeecees and his family are able to reconcile, things could get worse and turn into something far more severe than a viral video if the backlash and public reaction continued to grow. And if Omar's emotional toll was as high as some had claimed, Mendeecees would face a whole new set of problems that go beyond public's indicated that the matter has led to a tremendous lot of stress in Mendeecees' marriage to Yandy. If the tension between a father and son was so high, just think of the repercussions between a husband and wife. Could Mendeecees' outburst be forgiven by Yandy? Could their marriage survive the consequences of this violent public outburst? Let's just say that the Harris family's future doesn't seem to be as promising as it once was. Only time will tell. As the media storm reached its peak, everyone was concerned about whether Mendeecees could protect his family and reputation, and public outrage grew, despite the fact that it was obvious that damage had already been done and that things were getting out of hand. The real drama, the unpredictable one, was just getting began. And while fans' reactions to Mendeecees' social media posts were mixed, the actual conversations took place behind closed doors as his wife tried to protect their family's reputation and shield them, but her husband's actions were also seriously threatening their marriage. Would this scandal be the last straw for them? Or could every day that went by after this terrible incident only serve to fuel the flames? And the tension was evident. Unlike anything Mendeecees had ever experienced before, his previous legal issues and public disputes were well known, but this incident was different. It was an emotional breakdown that was aired in front of millions of viewers, and the repercussions were severe. It wasn't just a dispute with another celebrity or a legal matter. Everything was made worse by the fact that the majority of people had access to the leaked video. Can't even begin to understand the pressure of being a reality TV star, where every moment is scrutinized and even the slightest error could become a serious issue. Mendeecees' legal team issued statements claiming that the video was insufficient and that the incident had been misreported in an attempt to lessen the damage. They claimed that the altercation between the release of the video had serious repercussions, raising questions about who would benefit from the isolated episode of father and son, which did not accurately reflect Mendeecees' personality. Everyone had a different opinion about Mendeecees' actions. Was the leak an attempt to further damage his reputation or reveal the true nature of what was happening behind the scenes? There were those who supported him and those who opposed him. Family therapists and child advocacy groups were among those who condemned him, asserting that this incident was not unique and that even though they made an effort to downplay the incident, Mendeecees' actions were an example of toxic masculinity and emotional abuse. They even went so far as to Mendeecees had a bad day because it was part of a larger pattern of behavior that necessitated that the video be edited to make the situation look worse than it actually was. Attention as additional hypotheses and accusations emerged, several fans speculated that Mendeecees had been dealing with more than simply family troubles. Were there other darker forces at work? The video quickly sparked concerns about his mental health, with some speculating that he has been struggling with anxiety or sadness due to his mysterious. These rumors were fueled by social media posts and the clear change in his behavior over the past few months. Would his past actions, such as incarceration, have come back to haunt him? It is widely known that growing up in a famous family can be difficult, but Omar found it even more difficult to be thrust into the public eye after such a tragic and private incident. After being Omar, Mendeecees' son, was left to pick up the pieces after the viral video made him an unwanted public figure in his own right. People were interested in his emotional health and how he was managing the aftermath of this widely reported altercation. Was he okay? Was he traumatized? He was under unfathomable strain, despite that the odds were stacked against him because anything can happen on social media and reality TV. This experience caused a rift among fans, some of whom remained steadfast in their support of Mendeecees. This one item that came up during the entire event, arguing that he was apparently grappling with sorrow and remorse behind the scenes in addition to the pressures of being in the spotlight. He reportedly struggled to strike a balance between his need to protect his family and his fear of losing everything he had worked so hard to achieve, so they urged kindness and compassion. That everyone has terrible days, and that this was only one instance of a father and kid bonding well. But some fans were appalled by what they saw and believed it to be an indication that Mendeecees was facing more serious problems than just a horrible occurrence or misunderstanding. The consequences of the video were still being felt, and the media landscape didn't seem to be slowing down. Rather, it seemed like new information, rumors, and comments were being made daily. One thing was certain though, as the public continued to analyze every aspect of the story, this scandal had gotten out of hand, and neither Mendeecees nor Omar could control it. The question that remained was if Mendeecees could overcome this shame and regain his. If he survived this turmoil, would his one moment of rage define him for the rest of his life, or could he redeem himself? There was no question that the drama was fans were left wondering as the story developed whether the Harris family's time in the spotlight was coming to an end or if a new chapter was about to begin. But time would tell. Mendeecees and his family were initially the center of attention, but only time would tell as they attempted to deal with the fallout from one of the most shocking incidents in the history of reality TV. What are your thoughts on this surprising turn of events? Did Mendeecees cross a line that cannot be passed, or was his behavior justified? Will he end up this way, or will he be able to rise like a true phoenix from the ashes? But what about Omar? How will he handle the emotional toll and public attention from this family drama? Is this the last nail in Mendeecees' coffin, or do you believe he can change his life? If you're as shocked as we are, please click like. Thank you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. You can be certain they'll want to see the video. Additionally, watch it to make sure